Today we welcome Kellan Fluckiger, a mystic mentor, transformational guide, and someone whose near death experience ignited a profound, ongoing dialogue with the divine. From corporate turbulence to deep spiritual awakening, his journey is a testament to radical reinvention and the power of remembering who we truly are. In this episode, we are diving into living with purpose, aligning with prosperity, and embodying joy not as concepts, but as daily state of being. Welcome to the show, Kellen. It's such an honor to have you.
Well, thank you. And first of all, I want to honor you for putting on a show because podcasts are work. They're a labor of love. I have one too, and I've got like 1,065 episodes and been doing it for 5.5 years. So I know how much work you put into this, and I want to thank you.
Thank you so much.
You betcha.
Mm-hmm. So, Kellen, your near death experience reshaped your entire existence. How did that moment alter your understanding of who we are at the core?
Well, in 2000, I just turned 70 yesterday. 18 years ago in 2007, when I was 52, I was finishing up a career of 30 years. And, I'd had a lot of success and all that sort of stuff, but I didn't really have life purpose. And that conflict had led me to all kinds of dark places. I had addiction issues and some failed relationships, kind of like they make movies out of. On one side, it looks all glamorous, and behind the scenes, it looks like a battle zone. And in 2007, I had a radical sort of divine intervention that woke me up and set me on a new path. And so I walked away from that other life, the life that I had, and started in exploring what it meant to like determine what you really want to do and be, and then go after that, create your life basically. And I was working on that. And in that process, I became a coach. And the reason I did is because it became clear to me in my journey that, all the stuff that I was learning, excuse me, could really be valuable to other people. So I started writing books and, I became a coach because that's how I figured out I could help people. And now I have 21, 22 books out and all that stuff. About 11 years after that first divine intervention in 2018, we had a good coaching practice. I had several books written and, we were doing really well. And then my wife and I went on a cruise, which we'd never been on before. So we went on our first cruise, a lot of fun, etc. And the not so good thing is that I contracted a fatal illness. And when we got home, I started getting sicker and sicker and went to the hospital. And to make a long story short, of course, I wrote a book about that called Meeting God at the Door, Conversations, Choices, and Commitments of a Near-Death Experience. Anyway, I flatlined in the ICU and was in a coma for 17 days. And while I was flatlined, I had a conversation. I ended up having 3, but a conversation with God at the door. And it took place at a doorway, so I call it at the door between life and eternity. And it became really clear to me, and the story is told in the book, and I can share a little of it here, but it was just a spectacular awakening, a complete certainty that the things that I had been doing now, the new things were the right things. And it was an affirmation, encouragement, and lots of other, I just call them blessings, some of knowledge and some of motivation and some of joy to just keep going. And I came away from, among other things, but the conversations with 4 key things that answer your question about creating purpose, prosperity, and joy. And the first one is that each of us, you, me, every one of your listeners, we are divine beings in the most literal sense. And I know we talk about that and we say those kind of words, child of the universe, the divine, or children of God, or whatever. But to have a full and complete understanding of how literally true that was, has changed everything for me. And so when I look at a person now, I see a divine light. I see a divine being that came from the same God I did. And so that was a certain knowledge. The second thing of four was it, I knew that we each had a mission, a purpose, a reason that we not only agreed to, but we were excited about before we came. And again, knowing that, we talk about having purpose, finding your purpose, blah, blah, blah. But knowing that with absolute certainty, it just changes the game. And the third thing was it was clear that each one of us was given the gifts, the talents that we need to not only complete the mission that we agreed to, but to enjoy it, have fun, to have this be a joyful experience as well as a growth experience, because we all know there's plenty of struggles and challenges. And the fourth thing that I came away with was the absolute certainty that all the help we need is available from both sides of that door. And again, my conversations took place at a doorway. And now knowing that, those four things together turned the fire that I already felt into a raging furnace. And so I don't do anything all day, first breath to last, except prepare myself and then do everything I can to help people understand this and then do something with it, to make a choice, to create life, to create themselves, to use their gifts, talents, to bless, to love, to serve, and yes, to make money. And the more money you make, the bigger your impact can be. So that's the very short version of what I took away from that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's amazing. And you emphasize being over doing. How does one begin to shift from performance driven living to presence driven living?
So a great question. And that's exactly the way to frame it. Performance, performance driven living is let's say I want a goal. I'm going to pick an easy one. So there was a time in my life when I was really overweight in my late 30s. So a long time ago, 30 something years ago. And I had some little kids then. And thought to myself, you know what? I don't want to be the fat dad who can't play with his kids. I just don't want to do that. So I thought, okay, I need to do something. So I'd always enjoyed martial arts. So I joined a martial arts dojo that was not too far away, and I exercised regularly. And this is the doing. I did the thing. I got up early, I exercised, went on for months and months and months. And it took me about a year, and maybe 9, 10 months. And I lost all the weight. I lost 90 pounds. And so I did it. And I did it the absolute hardest way possible. Grinding, force, absolute discipline and hardcore, willpower. And that is tough. And that is the way we do things. We know we want something, or we're supposed to do something, or we think we need to impress someone, or we think we need to show up a certain way. So we think, what do I need to do to prove that, to earn it, to build it, to lose weight in my case, or make money? And then it's a white knuckle journey of doing that thing. Being is changing your consciousness. So if I had to do that again, and I've never gotten overweight like that again, and I'm never going to, but if I had to do that again, what I would do and what I do now is I change who I am in my mind. So the picture that I would have of me is healthy, fit. I would be in my actions, in my belief, in my very essence, my energetic essence, running around with the kids, capable of doing that. I would focus on being that, because when you are something, the doing part is easy. I'm an athlete, so of course I work out. Of course I do this. And it's not a white knuckle ride anymore. It's simply who you are. And that sounds a little mystical and a little whatever, but there is really a way to change who you're being, and because who we are is who we think we are. what we believe about ourselves. And that's where the real work is. When you can change that belief, creating health, wealth, cash, relationships, that's easy because we change what we fundamentally believe is possible and what we believe about ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And what's one subtle daily practice that someone can start immediately to anchor into the state?
So I have something called a daily creation process. And I have you can't see it. I have a book, God, it's not video. I have a book called Living with Purpose and Power, where I put 18 years of the very practices and processes that I use. So if you want to read all the details, you ask for one and I'll give you one. If you want all the details, it's in the book called Living with Purpose and Power. But the first thing, there's two parts to this. Part one is learn to love yourself because most of us don't. If you go to the mirror and look deeply in your own eyes and you say, I love you, most people find that difficult. They find it squirmy. They find it inauthentic. They look away. They can't do it. I had a client once when I gave him that homework. He came back the next week and he said, I'd rather put my hand in a meat grinder. It was so hard for him to do that because of what he believed about himself. So get, start doing things. Think of reasons why you do love yourself. You're here, you're trying to grow. You're committed, you're making things right. There's lots of things in your life that you're doing right, but we don't think about that. So what we usually think is, yeah, if people knew who I was, they wouldn't like me, that kind of feeling. And learning to both accept and love yourself joyfully, completely, outrageously is part one. And part two of that is learn to be still. Some people call that meditation, and I don't use that word all the time, even though I love it. And the first 5 books I wrote were on meditation, because people then think of some mystical weird stuff, standing on your head in a corner or sitting some lotus position or whatever. It's really just the act of learning to quiet your heart, your body, your mind, and spend a little time with yourself quietly and just let thoughts go away. And even if you just do that for 10 minutes every day for a month, I can make you a promise that your life will change. It may not be, oh, suddenly there's 10,000 more dollars in my bank account, or suddenly my spouse doesn't yell at me anymore, but it's going to be shifts in how you feel, shifts in your ability to deal with situations. And so learning to love yourself and learning to meditate or be still with yourself, even if it's just nothing for 10 minutes, and set a clock, set your phone if you have that, and just do that thing. Those are the first two things I absolutely do. And my daily creation process is now expanded. It's quite long. It's a couple of hours, but I never, ever, ever, ever skip. I don't care what's going on. I don't care if I'm traveling. I never not do that because it creates me as that being that we talked about that I want to be. And it includes the processes that I just described.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, simple, accessible steps. They will make the philosophy feel more powerful yet attainable.
Yeah. And did you ask me a question? I didn't understand the question. They certainly make it more accessible and more attainable. Absolutely.
Yeah. And meditation for many feels abstract or intimidating. How do you redefine meditation as a practical tool for purpose and prosperity?
So there's 3 parts to it. Part one, and it's really simple. Slow down. Slow down enough to be where you are and when you are. So what that means is you can do this walking, you can do this sitting in a chair, anywhere, any way you want. But the point is, slow down. We live at a frantic pace. Everything's fast. Everything is hurry up. Messages on the phone, 24-hour news cycle, bang, bang, bang. And that's not healthy. It puts us in a state of cortisol in our bloodstream all the time, and that's poison. Kills you. So step one is just to slow down. And that 10 minutes, just physically slow down. And if you decide to do a walking meditation, that's fine. But slow down all your thoughts, your feelings, and it takes practice, but just slow down. And at first, thoughts keep invading. Oh, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? I got to hurry up. Oh, what's next? Oh, I missed a meeting. Oh, I should have done. That's fine. That's normal. Just let them go. Nothing's going to happen in 10 minutes. You can pick them all up in a minute. So just learn to slow down, to be right where you are. When you do that, start noticing things like the chair that you're sitting on that you're not even aware of. You'll start noticing, feeling your feet on the floor. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't even think about that. And so just step one, slow down enough to be all the way where you are, called being present. Slow down enough to be where you are. The second part of it is after you slow down, be still enough to notice what is there. And that might sound like it's the same thing, but it's not. Slowing down is an outer state and an inner state, but noticing is a stillness inside. And it takes more practice. It takes letting all the thoughts, the intruding ideas and things, just let them go. Don't focus. Don't let them grab your attention like fish hooks. Just relax and practice this every day. And this is practice. And what happens is after you practice for a week or a month, you'll get really good at it. You'll be able to slow down quickly and then be still inside. Think about a lake where there's no wind and there's nobody threw a rock and there's no ripples or anything. It's just still. And then when you do that inside of yourself, you start literally noticing other things, not just sensations like your feet on the floor, but thoughts that feel different. They're like they're a different color. The busy thoughts of life, they feel a certain way. And these other kind of thoughts that come when you're still feel different. So step one, slow down enough to be where you are. Step two is be still enough to notice what is there. And step three is trust that what comes to you is true. So often we have ideas, inspirations, intuition, and we dismiss it. Oh, that's stupid. I can't do that. And then we make a bunch of reasons why we can't. And none of them are true, but we use them as excuses. So those are the three simple steps. Slow down enough to be where you are. Be still enough to notice what is there. Trust what comes to you is true.
Yeah, 100%. And is there a form of meditation you believe works especially well for people who feel restless or skeptical?
Yeah, those are two different things. Restless is just practice. If you need to do a walking meditation, then walk. Go somewhere or walk outside. I used to do a long walk for an hour, and that's a lot longer than 10 minutes. But around just the neighborhood, big, long walk, several miles. And during that time, I would make it a habit to start with just noticing trees and cars that were parked and just notice and using that noticing to empty my mind of the, oh crap, I got to do this. I got this many calls. I got these bills. I got this, just empty that. So if you're restless, it just takes practice. Okay. And that just means you can't do it wrong. Don't get after yourself. There's no frustration required. It's just like practicing the piano. I've started playing when I was 5. I'm 70 now, so 65 years. And I played really, really good. But it didn't all happen at once. It took years and years and years of gradually getting better. So meditation's the same. And it won't take years. It'll take weeks. And you'll be good at it, and you'll start recognizing the feelings in your body. So restless is easy. Don't get mad at yourself and just keep practicing. That's it. Skeptical is a different thing. You can choose. Skepticism is a choice. Oh, that won't work. That's a choice to believe that. So replace that won't work to what if it does? What am I missing if I don't try this? How would I know? And you have to keep that up till you've tried it every single day for 10 minutes for a month. So if you say, okay, 10 minutes a day for 30 days is 300 minutes, that's 5 hours. Over the next month, you're going to dedicate diligently 5 hours to see if this process, this tool will help you. And I can promise you, because not only in my own life, but the lives of hundreds of clients, it will change your life. It will change your life. And it will, because that's how it works. It does stuff for your body. It does stuff with your spirit. It does stuff with your mind. And so, but you won't know that unless you change from, oh, I'm skeptical, I don't think that'll work, that's stupid, to, hey, what if it does? What am I missing if I don't do this?
Yeah, definitely. And this opens the door for listeners who may feel disconnected from traditional spiritual practices.
Yeah, I'm very spiritual. I also belong to a particular, religion, and part of that has to do with everybody, has to do with their society, how they were raised, the experiences they've had, good or bad. So I'm not trying to get anybody to, go join some church. What I am telling you is there is a higher power. I call it God. You can call it whatever you want. It's there and you know it. And you've felt it and you've yearned to connect to it at different times in your life. So meditation, just that act of being still and learning to do that, is the doorway for much deeper spiritual practices. And the point of them is not to be some weird mystic to sit on a mountain. The point is it will open your heart and your mind to inspiration. It will help you have better business. People sometimes try to disconnect, like, how does this make money? It has made me boatloads. And not because I'm selling meditation. It has inspired me about what to do with my businesses, with books I write, with people that I help in my coaching practice. So it's very practical and hands-on. And the deeper and more powerful, that's why I have a 2-hour process every day. The deeper and more powerful my connection is to the divine every day, not once in a while, the better, far better I feel, the happier I am, and the more success I have in every definition of success.
Yeah, totally. And you have lived through addiction, depression, and immense pressure. How did these shadows contribute to your current spiritual clarity and mission?
Well, so in 2007, when I had that divine intervention, and I had just attempted the second time 2 weeks before. And I guess God said, that's enough. And so I had some things happen, and we don't have time to tell that story, but it's in a book called Tightrope of Depression. I began a process of work, of healing, of getting the help I needed, counselors, coaches, shrinks, all kinds of things, because I was determined to figure out how to be better, more powerful, more clear, happier, home in my own skin, that kind of stuff. So often, and I've been on now, not 1,000 yet, been 700 or 800 shows. I get asked a lot, what would you change? You could go back in time. I wouldn't change a thing, because every single thing I've been through, every struggle, every dying, every single thing, however hard it was, has made me more patient. It has filled me with more love. It has allowed me to help people just like you create impossible things, because I know who we are. And so it has shaped me in deep and profound ways and continues to influence. But I'm not magic. Every person I talk to has got events in their own lives that are similar to them. The description of them is different, but it's similar to things that I've done or had happen. So cherish them. They are the refiner's fire. And when you come out, you're pure gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this conversation reminds us that purpose, prosperity, and joy aren't destinations. They are expressions of who we choose to be in every moment. If something in this episode stirred you, let it guide you into deeper alignment and a more intentional way of living. Thank you for listening and continue stepping into the fullest, most luminous version of yourself.